this is what I wound up coming up with. I was able to achieve terminal velocity, so to speak, incorrectly, but totally satisfied with the results. And what I did here, as you can see, is I coupled incorrectly two spherical 16 dB antennas with two 7 dB paddle antennas, which I never found out if they're vertically, horizontally polarized, or both. But what I had to do was split the signal. Now, I knew when I originally hooked up arrangement like this with a 5.8 gig matching amplifier for my P3 4K that I was overdriving the front end, but it seemed to work fine with the 4K DJI drones. And the bidirectional amps worked fine, but I knew I was overdriving the front amps. The output of the transceiver is 27 dBmV, which is twice as much as the front end wants to see on the amplifiers, causing all kinds of problems. I couldn't even get the P3 4K. I couldn't even get these two lights to light. Well, one wasn't coming on at all, and one would barely come on. Now you can see, even with the bird off, the erroneous crap, RF in the air, they are on and flashing. This is a great. So it's 3.4 volts. It chops it. It brings it up to 12, and charge it like once a month. Get away with it. But anyway, so what I did here is I put the T's in, which turns the 50 ohm cable into a total mismatch, and God knows what it is, somewhere around half of that, plus with the SWR and the reflected energy, it's probably a horrible situation, but I am telling you, the battery energy is my only limitation. What I was going to do if this didn't work, and I didn't expect this to work, was to co-phase, like the CBers did back with the rabbit ears on the trucks, and that's when you put full wave lengths. Let me see, I think a quarter wave is 1.8 inches. That would make it 4.5 inches, and then you solder them up, you split them, and this way your connection points at both ends are E minus, E0, which is the low voltage point, and that is correct. And I could do that. I would like to buy two splitters, but unlike the lower frequency stuff that I have, 2.4 gigs, that's about $650 for a splitter, if you don't want to lose as much energy as you're trying to gain from this whole operation. So this is what I'm going with, and I'm not going to go ahead and put the co-phase in the correct way, because I can't improve this anymore. I was able to go completely vertical, which in the past I've only been able to do with putting the cloverleaf. Use two pair of these cloverleaf antennas, and you can see one is got 4 and one has 3. And again, you know, I'm an amateur radio operator from back in the old days, and this is the adage: what's designed properly to transmit is equal to receive, and vice versa. They're
I'm doing something.
Reciprocal. But everything I read about these is that the 3 is good for transmitting, but not so good for the 4, and vice versa for the receive. And I haven't gotten an explanation why. The only thing I could think is that in transmit there's too much SWR changes, but these match very well, and I've had to put these on the bird, each leg. They look very nice, and even without an amplifier, I can go directly above with paddle antennas, directional antennas, and not lose signal for the most part. But now, I don't even need them, and I don't understand it, because again, the antennas are vertical on the bird, and even if I look up, I'm not I don't understand, but it works. I guess I'm just throwing so much energy out of there, but it's actually receiving as well. So, and again, that's, like I said, reciprocal.
Okay, I actually have to overdub the overdub because the Fillmore totally screwed it up. Plus the speaker, the microphone in my computer was just absolutely horrible. So what I'm doing is I'm overdubbing over the dubbing that I did because it was so garbled. All right, there's Leon, and he's lounging. And now the cat's away. The mice will play. In this case, it was a tree mouse, otherwise known as a squirrel, and you're going to see him in a second. That's the wires I constantly have to avoid, but it's their main thoroughfare. It's their bridge. Okay, poor thing dropped a nut. Alright, so I took off. Now listen, I had to stop everything. The thing went crazy. With Lychee, if you're connected to the internet, 1 out of 10 times it just goes crazy. Now, since this has happened 3 other times in the past, I don't get excited. But look at, I have no control. This thing's just going nuts. It's just flying erroneous wherever it wants. And the only thing you can really do is turn to home, not touch any controls, and get it close. And it'll start going nuts again. You try to bring it in by hand, and then you return to home again. So you go back and forth, and eventually, every time I've been lucky where I've gotten this thing back home. But watch what happens here. And I'm sorry about the first overdub, which you'll hear in the background, all garbly.
558 feet altitude, 749 so I put the airplane mode on, 4 miles per hour, 94%.
Alright, here we are checking out the flights around me. And this one is at 12,000 feet. And I don't expect to go that high, and it's not going in my direction. There is a plane inbound at 22,000. That's not going to be a problem. I don't think it's going to descend 15,000 feet in a few miles. So we are good to go.
Alright, so here we go. Try it again. Alright, so now I'm taking off again. And this time, it's perfect. And it was very discouraging because it makes you want to just like, oh, should I ever fly again? You're going to fly eventually. Should I? Last time I waited 3 days. Does that mean I have to wait 3 days between a crazy act that Lychee does? No. I get right back in the air and try to figure out what happened and how to avoid it in the future. Now, here is some video. I'm coming home. I think this is, I'm coming home at 10 times the speed. Look at the cars. They're like little veins that you see under a microscope. It's funny when this one car goes in the driveway. It just cracks me up for some reason. But Filmora is the worst program, but my computer cannot handle anything more complicated. But it chopped out and lost some video, and I erased it already. But I got almost to 12,000 feet. But look at this battery error that I get after the mod. And that's because, I get the bird up to 56 miles an hour. It ascends and descends at 22. Now this is like 10 times, or almost 10 times what it normally goes. So I guess that's why I'm getting these battery errors that I've never gotten previously. And I don't know if it's going to drop out of the sky, if I should stop. And I have stopped in the past, and now I just continue, and I just get the battery back after it lands, and it's so hot you can't touch it. I know I'm speeding along, I'm trying to keep everything under 15 minutes. Look at this picture postcard shot. This is wonderful. My God, that's beautiful. And I was so tempted to fly just a little further, man, another 500 feet, and I can get above them, and you can see the sun shining down over the clouds, but I already used a lot of battery chasing these clouds around, which, they start in one position. By the time you get there, they're somewhere else. And I try to compensate by shooting for the cloud that's coming towards me, and at least I'm flying into the wind. The conditions were
Hopefully you
perfect,
need less
but
energy to go up. I wasn't looking at
it's
the
harder than you
battery
think.
close enough.
But check this out. I do get very close. I mean, another 500 feet, and I could have
In the
been.
clouds.
I could have had some nice shots.
7,735 feet altitude, 9
My
feet
objective is to
distance,
do this with a
15
full
miles per
moon.
hour,
It's pitch
44%
black on the
battery.
bottom, and as soon as you get past the top, it's all lit. I think that would be wonderful. So I try to keep the battery charged all the time, but that's difficult. You're not supposed to keep them charged.
6,533 feet altitude.
Now I'm looking down. I'm about a mile and I don't know, a mile and a quarter up. But I got almost up to 2 miles, and I was real nervous. That long distance test I took, I landed with, I don't know, 16% battery. I landed, I think with 14% battery here. If I use the stock bird, I can't do that. It goes too slow. It takes so much energy just to stay afloat. I know you use more energy when you're going 56 miles an hour versus the stock 25, but it's using 80% of the power to begin with just to stay afloat. And I've already dropped a half a mile already. But it looks wonderful. I got it home. I was nervous. I won't be doing that again. But with the stock bird, she would have self-landed. Although that doesn't happen with the firmware on this bird. It'll just go down to 1%, keep flying, and just fall out of the sky. So I had to keep my eye on that power. But it was quite amazing. I never lost video, the range test or the height test, and it was really stable with the stock bird antennas, which I could not do before. Now this spot, that's the sand pit. It's the only part of the zoom. The rest of it's all 4K. It's about 1080. No, it's less than that, like 720. But I took Elton's bird and I flew down in there.
1,429 feet
wow,
altitude.
17%.
If you haven't seen the
Warning,
video,
aircraft
maybe I don't
battery
even have
at
it posted.
17%.
It's really quite incredible. I have it go down minus 240 feet to get in that hole.
121 feet altitude. Aircraft battery at 16%. Recording stopped.
I tell you, Fillmore is so bad, I'm listening to the background audio.
All right, see you soon.